So there are many different ways to deal with the negative experiences and feelings that almost inevitably reside within us. Or also, for instance, the aggression, the frustration we feel, the shame. So a very common but not at all optimal way to keep these negative feelings at bay. Reveals the difficulty of the individual in embracing human nature, their own nature, which needs to be understood, managed, but not denied or repressed, or overturned. Here, precisely about this transformation. Into the opposite, I want to talk to you about, therefore, the manifestation of an overly understanding philanthropic attitude, which, however, develops to hide, deny one's own shares of aggression and intolerance, evidently not well accepted within oneself. How do we distinguish those who are truly altruistic from those who are denying their own aggression, appearing seemingly understanding and altruistic? Well, generally, it's not very difficult. We distinguish it by the fact that fake altruists always have an enemy whose nature is constructed on a purely paranoid, or rather, projective basis. Let me explain. The false pacifist, the neurotic do-gooder, the aggressive inclusive person always intercepts or generates an absolute enemy, whether it be an individual or a social or political group, that acts as a sponge for the negative material unconsciously projected outside of oneself and thus denied. Then, once outside the self, this negative core projected in the guise of the enemy can be attacked, persecuted, and ultimately also seen as highly dangerous because it shares the nature, persecutory of its creator, and therefore to be eliminated according to a logic of purification, absolutely convinced that the world would be a better place without those people. In this, fundamentalist religious systems are masters. Obviously, as all clinicians who have conversed with paranoids know, these subjects characterized by fake benevolence not only have clear labels in mind for those who are enemies, not only do they bring out significant aggressive tendencies even, at a moderate level of dialogue, always justified by their projective system, because after all, it is right to hate the hateful, but they are unyielding in dialectically analyzing their model of the world. They have blind faith what is in it and construct logical architectures that are very rigorous, but in reality absolutely penetrable by criticism, to confirm their design of the world. However, the criticisms have no impact. This also shows that behind the model of the world, there is no calm reflection, logic, open to confrontation, but in reality, an emotional construct that must respond to visceral needs. Moreover, these individuals also put a lot of effort into studying, reading things, discussing in groups that constantly reaffirm their point of view, systematically excluding any dialectical approach. Even when, though they allow a confrontation, there will always be a tone of disqualification, a priori, or caustic irony towards the interlocutors. And note, in this case, the aggressive and sadistic factor that always flares up. Well, in reality, I have digressed and gone completely off topic, because this was actually supposed to be the premise to introduce the topic of how negative experiences, rather than being repressed, denied, and inverted, thereby polluting us further with their negative nature, can be used to build something positive. But at this point, we will discuss it in the next video. See you next time.